Welcome to Across the Park podcast, the only place you can hear banter and debate weekly from both sides of Stanley Park, whether it be blue or red. Sponsored by Their Clothing and Camper Kings Northwest. Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Across the Park podcast, season 21-22. The year is flying. We are nearly into 22. What the hell is going on? Myself, Ian Mills, alongside Gary Judge of the Evertonians this week. And I think, Judgy, we might have a little bit more banter this week to give those Reds, Terry McGivern and Phil Roberts. Before we do, massive thank you to our sponsors, as always, Their Clothing, spelled V-I-R Clothing. Go over there and check out the amazing brands. I am wearing my Their Clothing t-shirt. So is Judgy, so is Terry. Phil, not so much. Just checked out of work. I can tell, Phil. Just finished work, not rocking your Their Clothing. Amazing clothes over there. Go over there, theirclothing.com. In the checkout, ATP20 for 20% off. And as always, our amazing sponsors, Camper Kings Northwest, camperkings.co.uk. Go over there. Camper vans aplenty. Amazing camper vans. Quote Across the Park. A free bottle of bubbly. Free insurance. Go and enjoy yourselves. Judgy, before we rip those Reds, and I'm dying to, we've got to go back 24 hours. We've done the instant match reaction, which is still on the YouTube channel. It's still on the Spotify, the iTunes as audio. 24 hours removed. How are you feeling from Everton 0, Spurs 0?
I'm satisfied, to be honest. I think it was a result that we needed. We needed not to get beat, didn't we, yesterday?
Yeah.
We needed a clean sheet. We needed a solid performance. We needed work rate. We needed application. I say needed because, and I think we acknowledged this on the post-match reaction, or the instant match reaction yesterday. And he says needed it more than anything else. Already, because of the recent results he's had, the vultures were circling, if you will. The doubters, the Everton fans who didn't want Benitez in the first place were out for blood, weren't they? Were baying for blood. And I think the players produced for him yesterday. It was always going to be a tough game against, a Spurs side with a new manager, not least Antonio Conte, who's famous for, making teams hard to beat and winning games in the Premier League. So I was expecting it to be a tough game. I don't think it was a tough game, as it unfolded. I thought that we nullified their threat. I thought that we looked the stronger, more dominant side for most of the game. It was a pleasing performance. I'm not going to get carried away because if you watched that game in isolation at the start of the season and went, look, this is a reflection of the Everton side for this season, I don't think you'd be particularly pleased, would you? But no. having come off the back of the last two performances against Watford the second half and Wolves the first half, I don't think you could not be pleased with what we're seeing, could you?
No, I thought, and we said yesterday on the instant match reaction, I think from minute one, Everton pressed, Everton worked hard. There's a number of players who had their best game in a number of weeks. Michael Keane being one, Luca Dean being one. I think we've covered lots and lots on the instant match reaction, which is still available. So any Evertonians who want to see mine and Judgy's more in-depth thoughts at the game from Goodison Park, go to our YouTube channel, or audio listeners, please go over to the Spotify, the iTunes, or the Anchor and listen. Just to summarise, Judgy, it was a standout performer. Was there a man of the match for you? And finally, as well, what's your final thoughts on the game?
Man of the match, I'd probably go for Alan, to be honest. I'm a big fan of his anyway, but I thought he was exceptional in a different role yesterday. He was given a little bit more license to go forward. He was expected to try and create things and be the orchestrator of attacks, and I thought he did that very well. Probably closely followed by Richarlison, just for pure application and work rate. I thought he really put a shift in and led the line very well, and showed all the Everton fans, I think, and probably everyone what we've been missing in terms of a mobile forwards. We've gone on about Ronson in the last few weeks, and we don't need to discuss that, thankfully, tonight or yesterday, and we didn't need to, because we had a forward who'd done the things that you'd want from a forward. Alan closely followed by Richarlison, but there was some very solid performers out there. I think a few outlets give it to Delph. I'm not quite ready to be naming Delph as we man of the match yet, but he earned some stripes yesterday, and that's all you can ask for.
And I did say summary, but before you get there, I've got to give you the name. We discussed it on the Instant Match Reaction, and we got lots of comments on the Instant Match Reaction on the YouTube channel. Mason Holgate. Where are you judging on Mason Holgate at the moment for Everton Football Club? Because whenever he plays, whether it's lack of confidence or it's lack of talent, he is just not with it.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who watched the Instant Match Reaction yesterday or hasn't watched it yet, there was a few explicit words, linked to Mason Holgate. I'm not going to repeat them on this show because, it's not an Instant Match Reaction on this show. We do try and be a little bit more family friendly. But if you are an adult and you're accepting of that language, then go back and watch it. He was poor, and he made such a negative impact on that performance, and it wasn't fitting of the attitude and the application of the players that we just discussed before. It was ill discipline, it was arrogance, it was all the things all the attributes, or all of the traits that you don't like to see from a player, but it was typical of Mason Holgate, and for me, he's finished.
No, I agree. And we said yesterday, didn't we, that in the summer it was rumoured that we were inviting money for him. And good God, I'm on Gumtree. You're on eBay. If anyone is watching, FAO Brighton Hove Albion, contact myself or Judgy. We are selling Mason Holgate on this podcast. Judgy, before we move on to the Reds, just a final word. Is that a good building block for you? Are you disappointed we didn't win? Where do you stand now, 24 hours after the game?
Yeah, building block for me. That's all it is. I don't think we could be disappointed we didn't win. Obviously the whole drama around the penalty is what it is. A lot of outlets have spoke about that. It wasn't a great performance by the referee in general, but you'd like to think it swings and roundabouts. I don't think we've done that much to really deserve and warrant the 3 points. But I think it's a good building block. Solid clean sheet. What Benitez will have wanted, to be honest, the type of manager that he is, he wants to build from the back and build from solidity and clean sheets. And it's the first time I've watched us and thought this season that we did look solid and we did look dependable at the back. So yeah, platform, and hopefully we can take it on against City after the break.
Good God, it's going to be a massive ass. I'm with you, Judgy. I think it's a really good building block. It's a platform now, because if that manager lost that game and if it was 4 losses on the bounce, the pressure would have been. And I've said it on this show, there's tons of national media out there waiting for me and you and Evertonians to be the pantomime villain and hound that manager out of the club. And I'm so glad that this week is not the week that were involved in the chaos. Phil, I'm going to tag you in. There's a hot tag. I've been in the headlock too long. I'm tagging you in. West Ham 3, Liverpool 2. I imagine you are really disappointed with that result.
Yeah, definitely. And the performance as well. Obviously, West Ham, you know what you're getting with West Ham, and that's probably one of the most disappointing things for me. West Ham are coming with a game plan, and they want to rough you up, typical David Moyes fashion, and, and it's like we were shocked by it. I thought, Terry, like it caught us off guard, certainly caught Alisson off guard, like we weren't expecting the physicality, epitomised by the goal from, I think it was their first goal, wasn't it, from the corner. And so, yeah, for those reasons, I think it was incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first point to address is, like, Alisson had a stinker, and I was praising him after the instant match reaction. I think it was that I done with Gary last week or whatever, and
yeah,
I was saying, like, he makes big saves that sometimes you think he's got no real right to make, but then he also, I don't think he covers himself in glory getting under crosses at times. And it's interesting the way that we set up, as you say, and we're surprised by it. They've got big lads and they're good on set pieces. We leave our goalkeeper to get buffeted, like, no protection. Other teams put someone like around the goalkeeper to keep their lads away, to give him a passage to be able to come and claim a ball. We don't. I watched it on the first goal we conceded, and he was on his own with 2 West Ham players around him. And all of our players are busy with themselves with whatever they've been told to do. So our keeper's basically, surrounded by West Ham players. And I'm not saying that's an excuse for him, because it was a terrible attempt. To be honest, you can tell he's thinking about the players, though. Like, I'm worrying about where they are. And we do it against when we play Burnley. See it all the time when we play Burnley. It's like, why why are we letting them put players on our goalkeeper's toes? It's just bizarre.
I think it's because we're zonal, Terry. You can sort things like that out when you go man to man, but when you're zonal,
yeah. But I think in some instances where they've got really defined set piece plays that we know they're useful at, I don't think you can necessarily say we're just going to defend our way. You know, sometimes you've got to counteract. You know, what are their strongest skill sets, and like Burnley do it, West Ham do it. We didn't even learn from it from the first goal. No. You know, afterwards we carried on doing it, and you know he had another like instances where he's obviously too focused on the man. You know, that's sort of by him as opposed to the ball and where the ball is. So that was really disappointing. But you know, as you say, it's not only a disappointing result, but it was a really disappointing performance, and it becoming a little bit of a common theme where like. I thought we were getting into building up a bit of a head of steam, you know, where we looked really good and really incisive and stuff. What I'm noticing though, in the Premier League is defensively we look really sort of fraught and weak. So we're conceding goals left, right, and centre in the Premier League. You know, where we're having to score 2 or 3 goals to win a game because we're conceding 2 the other way. Whereas in Champions League games, that's not quite happening.
I wouldn't say it's not, to be fair, Terry. We conceded a few in Europe, haven't we?
Yeah, we conceded 2 to AC Milan, didn't we? Which we shouldn't really have. And then we conceded 2 away to Atletico. But
yeah,
I mean, for me, it's like I don't know whether in the Premier League, I think teams are a bit more play to sort of shut us down or play to our weaknesses. Where I think in Champions League games, teams are a little bit more sort of backing themselves to play their way. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just better quality teams, so it's less about stopping Liverpool or exploiting our weaknesses by changing their entire game plan. But I think we do see that in the Prem, and teams are onto us in the Prem that we are so vulnerable because of the fullback play, the way that we play. No, it's a constant thing that's causing us issues.
Yeah, it does. Looking at it for me, it does seem mainly a shape issue. I mean, I can't think of like particular individual errors from defenders. A lot of goals that we've conceded this season, I'm just looking at the shape and just saying, everyone's all over the place here. There's no like clear line, and it's like there's no relationship between defence and midfield.
You mentioned you texted me, didn't you, and said like how like Trent, he's like basically playing as a centre mid, and I agree with you. It was mad. You know, you're seeing him like literally striding around the centre circle and getting involved through the middle in attacks, and then you're like.
But normally you'd see Henderson. I know he doesn't normally come in. Normally he goes down the line. But normally you'll see Henderson go in behind him and stuff. And at the moment, the defence is getting stretched to cover that gap, I feel like. Simple thing. Don't know why it's happening, but it's costing us goals. It's weird.
It is weird. And it's not even just, you know, a sort of Trent issue. Like, I think I highlighted on the pod. I can't try and think what game it was now, where... Was it Brighton? Was the Brighton game where Curtis Jones had a terrible game? But he was almost playing as like one of our deepest mids, and he was going to retrieve the ball from the defence.
Yeah,
you know, to try and like sort of move us forward, which is like he had his best game against Porto, playing as like an attacking mid. You know, and now we're asking him to sort of. He was covering Andy Robertson at left back, and you're thinking, oh, we've got Henderson on the pitch. I don't get it.
Yeah, no one wants to hear it, Teddy, but we're struggling without Wijnaldum really. And you know, we haven't had Thiago either because. Normally, in seasons gone by, when we've been great, we've had Fabinho, Henderson and Wijnaldum. And if any one of them didn't play, even in seasons gone by, you're thinking, oh, we don't look quite as solid. We're carrying Cato, carrying the Ox, we're a bit more open. And Thiago's come in, and when he's been like had a run of games and it's been them 3, you're thinking, all right, we're okay with them 3. But if you haven't got Thiago at his best, you haven't got anyone else, have you? And I don't know if that's why the midfield's a bit more exposed, but
it's just not. It's not just that it's exposed, though. It's as you say. It seems to be a conscious decision of we don't want Fabinho to go and get the ball off the defence now or whatever. We're going to ask someone else. So Trent sort of moving into the midfield and trying to sort of receive the ball from the defence. Curtis Jones is covering Andy Robertson and also picking the ball up off the defence when he's played and stuff. It's like it's almost like we've lost confidence in that. Fabinho was the anchor, and someone alongside him and playing attacking mid, and it's almost like we're playing, we've rotated it. So the ones who we think are better on the ball are the ones who are going to drop really deep to pick it up off the defence. It's just.
Do you think that's? Do you think that's Klopp just trying to like not reinvent it, but all good managers try and transition a little bit, don't they, and change the style of play? Because if you obviously continue it the same way of playing, whatever it is, however effective it is, eventually the best teams and most teams will counter it, won't they? Do you think he's just trying to mix it up a little bit and trying to come up with different patterns, which is not a bad thing, is it? But that's obviously having a consequence in when you lose the ball, isn't it?
Possibly, but it just feels a bit sort of clumsy because it's like some of the creative players when you've got the ball and going forward, they're the ones who are deepest picking the ball up, and then like sort of pushing Trent like through the middle, and then we've already made the case that he there's gaps behind Trent because of the way he plays when he's getting forwards up the flanks. It's even more glaring when he's sort of gone through the middle because then you've literally got Mo stopping attacks on that side of the pitch, which is like, what's happening here? It's
moving on from the shape, Terry. Another talking point was the foul, wasn't it? That a lot of people saying should have been a red card. Jamie Carragher certainly thought it was a red card. I still can't decide. You're pretty sure it's not, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like I had a couple of like sort of not arguments but debates with the lads, in the group, and I'll say, Mills, he'll always say that I'm one that doesn't like admit, when a Liverpool player should have been sent off or booked or whatever. But I think I'm quite fair, and I said straight away, like when the lads were sending pictures of the slow-mo and the still, where it looks really bad at the knee level. If you watch it, it's early on in the game. He's committed to the tackle. He goes to win it. If you watch his leg bounces off the top of the ball and flies up to knee height, it doesn't. Yeah. It's not like he's gone in at knee height. Do you know what I mean, or anything like that? He's gone in to win the ball, and his legs bounced up off the ball, and ended up catching. I think you can make a case for booking. I don't think it's a straight red.
Well, I agree, but the only thing is, you've got to go in quite powerfully and quite high to begin with to bounce off the ball, haven't you? That's where I'm into.
No, but he's fell over, hasn't he, more than anything else? Like Terry said, because he's gone on top of the ball. He's kind of fell over. He's not meaning to go over the ball. So he's clearly trying to put his foot through it. Like look at Holgate, for example. Holgate puts his foot through the ball and meaningfully carries on, knowing exactly what he's going to do with that foot. He's fully in control, but he's intentional in what he's doing. Whereas Cresswell, I think, is trying to side foot the ball, but kind of trips over it, and it's clumsy, isn't it? More than anything else. I wouldn't say it was.
Yeah, you could argue it's a booking, but I think to give a straight red, I think. For me, I wouldn't have liked it to be in a straight red against us. I'd have been like, I'd have been arguing here with Mills. Mills would be the one sending me pictures, them still images of the knee level challenge, and he'd be going, "Oh, what? You don't think that?" And I'd be saying, "Well, I don't think it's a red card, no." And I'll say it, against us as well, because I think it was clumsy, and you can make the case it's a booking, but to completely almost change the course of the game that early on. As a straight red, I don't think there was malice or real sort of intent to hurt Henderson from it.
Okay, Terry, so a couple of times people have said this season, when teams lose or draw our rivals, so Chelsea drew, didn't he, with Burnley, so Liverpool have been known as mentality monsters in the past. Is there a mentality thing going on here where every time we get a bit of like, oh, they've lost, we've got a chance to gain, we slip up? Is that a mentality thing, or is it a performance thing? Is it defence, is it a shape issue, or is there any mentality involved?
I don't think it's like the players are sort of bottling when they're given the opportunities. I think maybe we're sort of looking at a couple of instances there and thinking it's a pattern and it's a weakness mentally. I don't think so personally. I think it's just if you look at like the sort of the Brighton game, the way that one went, and it was it was an opportunity to sort of open up or sort of put pressure on them. We just come off the back of the Man U results, and the first 20 minutes of that Brighton game was cruise control. It looked like we were going to put that game to bed, and it was going to be done and dusted. The game just turned, and I think it caught them a bit cold. And we couldn't sort of then get our head back on it. I don't think it was the players sort of crumbling under the pressure of a chance at this stage in the season. Anyway, in early November. I don't think it's a mentality issue. I think it's just it might look like that, but I don't think it necessarily is. I think it's just
the defence isn't right, is it?
The defence is not right. Defence is not right.
Would you say, for the reasons you just said then? Sorry, the reasons you just said then. Do you think you have been tactically outdone by Brighton and West Ham?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. No, I genuinely, and I've said it in the past about Brighton and stuff. Though I've said they come to Anfield and they make it. I'm not bothered if it's a rod. I'll jump on that because I genuinely do.
Loved it.
They've had a draw against the top 10 sides, have they?
No, I just
the
funny thing is for me is he's cried up no defenders last year. They're all back, and now the defence is an issue. Make your mind up.
No, because it's not. It's different issues, Mills. You're talking nonsense there. Yeah, they're all back, but the balance is off. So it's at the moment we're also rotating defenders, aren't we? And the midfield's not. This is the thing. It's not like we've got our first choice 11 still.
Oh, no balance.
So we still haven't got our first choice 11.
Get the stabilisers back on. They can't balance.
But listen, it's not a crisis though.
We haven't played together for 18 months.
Who's the first choice 11? Who's missing from that?
We haven't had our fair choice. You'd say our fair choice midfielders now.
Thiago, you're better off. You're better off without Thiago. Trust me, as a neutral, you're better off without Thiago.
Well, but we have all the midfielders. Fabinho's been missing. He's only just came back. Henderson's had a spell out. Keita's now out again after he was actually starting to look okay.
In all seriousness, I think you're seeing that they've had 12 months not playing together, and it's like they've come back and the relationships and all that aren't there. That's what I'm seeing. Not an excuse. That's what I'm seeing out there. I think Fabinho's well off it, me, Terry.
Yeah,
I haven't heard many people saying that he looks slow to me.
He's not in good form. He's not in good form at the moment. He does look sort of athleticism looks off, but at the same time, it's like his reading of the game. But as I say, I think the midfield, the way that was set up at the moment is just causing us issues. It's like they don't understand the patterns, whereas they used to be so well drilled. And now it's like it's all a mess. And I think you're right. I said this on the Intermatch with Gary. I don't want to sort of say we're missing Wijnaldum, but there is an argument that we are. And we're missing his ever-present being there. He was a constant in that midfield, wasn't he? Because he never got injured or missed games. So all of a sudden, you're constantly having to chop and change the personnel, and something's off in there. It's not working right. They're too easy to play through, particularly in the Premier League.
We didn't all know it in advance that was going to happen.
I said it, I think, after your second, I can't remember what game, I said it really early in the season. I think you kind of dismissed it, which I get at the time. But to me, it looked like, when you were mentioning, we're missing legs, we don't look like we've got that energy or whatever, or that drive. And he was that, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think you. It might have been. I'm trying to think what game. I remember you messaging saying he looks like an old man.
Yeah, that was against Man City. That.
Oh, City, yeah.
City, Fabinho, yeah.
Yeah, but something's not right there, is it, Phil? And we need to work it out quickly.
Yeah. Move on to social media. Put that one to bed.
Unless you want to carry on, boys, I'm here all night.
No, let's
go. You know what was funny as well? Anyone want to listen back to last week's episode, and you can probably skip forward to about maybe the 30th minute. Both the Reds, clean sheet, yeah, no problem. 2-0, 3-0, I think they both said. We both, me and Price, you were like, yeah, clean sheets.
No.
Wow.
I wasn't on.
Do you know, I was having a bevy in the church with Terry and our mate Mick before the game the other week, and I was saying, the defence looks ropey. And do you remember Mick said, not in the league, lads. That's only in Europe. And ever since he said that.
I said it. I think I said that.
You?
Yeah. and I said it. And yeah, no, the other way around. I said it's not looking bad in Europe, but it's looking bad in the league. You know what I mean? We're conceding goals in the league as opposed to Europe.
No, do you think he's playing a different way in Europe? I know you just said, Phil, you look a bit ropey in Europe as well. Do you think he's there is obviously a different way of playing in Europe, isn't it, compared to the league, generally, for most teams?
I feel like the Premier League teams have probably done heavier research on you more frequently.
More direct as well, over Premier League teams, aren't they?
Yeah, but we've been conceding in Europe, make no mistake about it, we've just been winning. But we've been conceding 2 goals frequently in Europe. So I don't think there's much difference, really. We just managed to score.
Phil, to be honest, that's probably a good segue into the social media, because I know there's a social media question asking the question what Judge just said there, domestically and European, and the social media is at Across the Park PC on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook is Across the Park Podcast, and the internet is acrosstheparkpodcast.com. liverpool.co.uk. You should see it flying down your screen now, anyone who's watching on YouTube. But Phil, like I said, we've got lots of social media, and that was one of the questions, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We had one from Dave via the website, and he said he's interested to hear on the show the lads' thoughts as to why we've performed so inconsistently in the league, despite smashing through the group of death in Europe so convincingly. Terry, I'll just start by saying I don't think there is a lot of difference. We've conceded in both competitions. We've scraped over the line in the games, and by scraped over the line, what I mean is we've scored 3 rather than 2 against Milan. You know, I know we've smashed the group convincingly. We've won every game, but each game hasn't been convincing for me. But do you think there's a big difference?
I don't necessarily think we're being dead inconsistent in the league either. I take the point that we've had a couple of draws and then we just got beat there by West Ham, but the draws have been against, besides Brighton and West Ham, until we had that discussion, your draws were against Chelsea and City and stuff. So it's like, I don't think we need to like sort of make out like it's some major crisis, but I think there's an element of, as I say, in Europe, I think, as I said before, teams play their way. I think that they're less willing to compromise. If they're in the Champions League, that's either champions or one of the top sides in their own league. They play with their own sort of approach, as opposed to fundamentally changing the way that they play. To play Liverpool, and generally they're not as physical. As Premier League teams, they might not have that sort of real chance to outmuscle us or whatever. So I think that almost helps us because, with all due respect, we've got more quality than a lot of them teams, even when it comes to the football side, like Porto. Even AC Milan, we scored 2 goals against us, but I thought they were diabolical when we played them at Anfield. Like, amazed that they even got a goal. So I think, European football just maybe suits us a little bit better at the moment, whereas the Premier League, as I say, and as you said before, teams have got a bit longer, or they know where the weak parts are, and they're almost willing to go. We can't play through Liverpool because they're too good or they're better than us, but we're happy to just launch balls into them fullback areas and chase lost causes and try and profit off set pieces and stuff. They're willing to do that, whereas I don't think you see that as much in the Champions League. But unfortunately for us, that's the game plan that works against us, is target them fullback areas and, really sort of look to hit us and cut out all the midfield press and all the Klopp's high press tactics and stuff. If you just make it a long ball game, all of that sort of falls away because you're not pressing from the front anymore. It's almost like, well, we just hit it 60 yards into channels, and like Trossard done it for Brighton, didn't he? He was running them channels relentlessly, causing us all kinds of problems. Antonio's done it there for West Ham. You've seen it last season. That's the areas that you can hit Liverpool if you're willing to sacrifice and basically just say, we're going to do that all day. And if you get the first goal or you get an early goal or whatever, then, you know what I mean? Then you can sort of dig in and do your way. And that I think that's the issue.
Okay, Blues, we've got another question about David Moyes, so we'll just get that one out the way quickly because we mentioned it last week, didn't we? But this was from Terry on the website. He said, David Moyes has built 3 sides at Everton and fans didn't want him back in 17, 18 or 19. Do you now regret it? Sounds like Terry could be a red. Wasn't you?
It's not me.
We had this question last week. I think me and Price tackled this one from another listener / viewer. I think in all of the years you're talking about there, at the time, I think the exception being Marco Silva, because I think most Blues would concede, including me, that wasn't the right appointment. But Koeman at the time wasn't an appointment at the time that Blues were disappointed with. He'd done a good job at Southampton. He's obviously got a massive profile as a player, reputation. He was going to attract players because of his reputation as a player. Ancelotti, no one, again, despite what happened, no Blue could honestly turn around and go, he didn't want Ancelotti, but he would turn that away. After Ancelotti's left, was Moyes the right person to come in instead of Benitez? I don't know. I think it would have been 50-50 with Everton fans. I think the ones who didn't want Benitez probably wanted Moyes and vice versa. I don't think Moyes could have done much with this squad, being honest. I don't think there's enough players in the squad that are physical enough, that would work hard enough for a David Moyes type manager. So I think he would have had the same task that Benitez has got at the moment. So, we've got a different manager who's obviously been a lot more successful, albeit across the park and at other clubs. Yeah, it's easy with the benefit of hindsight. I said, both me and Pricey said last year, we've got a lot of time, a lot of admiration, a lot of fond memories for what David Moyes brought to Everton, and that'll never change. He took us as far as he possibly could. I think he'll still hit that glass ceiling with he's still got that ceiling. I think he'll hit it with West Ham. He's not going to hit the top four with West Ham. He'll do what he's done with us. He'll flirt with the top four, and his team will ultimately go to bits and run out of legs towards the end of the season because he plays the same 11 almost every week. But he's getting good results at the moment, and fair play to him.
Yeah, I think the thing with Moyes, like Everton fans looking at it now, you're looking at the time that he's put a lot of time into this West Ham team, hasn't he? And he's had points at during that time at West Ham where it looked like he wasn't going to work out and he was going to get let go and stuff. So now you're looking at what he's doing with West Ham. It's almost like you're looking at 4 years or 5 years of work and a lot of money spent. It's very different, isn't it? Than where
you know what you are looking at, Terry? It's 2 spells, isn't it? Really, come in for like 6 to 9 months, then they let him go, brought someone else, and he came back in. But what you are looking at is a club that's given manager time. The fans wanted him out 12 to 18 months ago. The owners have stuck with him basically because they're minge bags, not because they thought David Moyes was the right man for the job. Thankfully for them and for the club, he has turned things around. But most managers like David Moyes, if you do give him time and the players start to realise actually he's going nowhere, and it's us that will have to move on if we don't start rolling our sleeves up, they will turn the ship around. And I said this on the Instant Match yesterday, I think that will be the case with Benitez if he gets time. And the owners, the directors, the board have got to be strong with that will, because there will be times, it might be over the next few weeks, that fans are going to be calling for his head again after we get a spanking by City and maybe, God forbid, a spanking in the derby as well. So there's going to be times where they're going to have to be thick-skinned, like Sullivan and Goldware, but hopefully we'll come through that. And yeah, as I say, addressing the question, I don't regret not wanting Moyes, and I was one of those fans saying, look, we don't need to go back there. I'm not sure, it's the right appointment. But anyway, as I say, no problem with what he's done with us. But, I think it's time for us to move on, and, he's doing what he does best.
Okay. Some quick fire questions here from Claire, who's got some blind date style questions for us. I'll just go round. I'll go round everyone. So first one is dogs or cats, Mills?
Oh, dogs all day. Any cat lovers on here, unsubscribe. They are devious creatures. Them. I am not into cats. I own a dog. Lovable little boy. You get appreciation. He communicates. I don't get that with cats. So for me, I've always been a dog person.
Judge?
Yeah, I mean, I actually admittedly grew up with a cat, and he was great. He
lasted right up until... by the way.
It wasn't. It was called Harvey.
You had one called Moisey as well?
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, he was a little... I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to use it to swear on this show. But, Harvey, after Colin Harvey, lasted up until my 17th birthday. 2 weeks before I was 18, he died. He was a great cat. But every other cat I've known apart from him was a piece of work. I don't trust him. I've had a dog since I was able to have my own house. The first night I got the keys to my house, I actually got a dog. So I've never actually lived in my own house without a dog. So yeah, dogs all day.
Dog for me. I haven't got one at the moment, but we had them growing up and stuff. And my mum and dad had a dog. Definitely a dog.
Yeah, cats are users. That's all they are. I'm not interested in cats either. Okay, KFC or Maggie's? What's that?
You sound like a cat lover, Phil.
Crazy cat man.
Your personality deserves a cat.
Scatty cat.
Yeah.
Eddie, KFC or Maggie's? I think I know the answer to this.
KFC. No, 100%. Big KF family. Like a Maggie's as well, but KFC defo.
Yeah, I'm partial. I mean, the kids partial to Maggie's, but KFC for me all day.
It's got to be a Maggie's hungover, but if you're not hungover and you want a nice lunch, KFC.
Yeah. Sing a stack meal for me. Sing a stack meal.
You look like you've had a few of them.
I've nearly on the shoulders.
Phil's just finished one. He's got some chicken hanging down off his chin there.
Okay, beer or Guinness? I'll go with beer. Mills is a Guinness man, aren't you?
I like both, but I drink beer more. Beer for me.
Yeah, there's not a nice cold pint.
Yeah, a nice cold, an extra cold Guinness. If that's your first bevy and you're out with the boys on a Saturday afternoon, that's your first bevy. It's nice.
Think of it as a Guinness or beer. You can never drink beer ever again, or you can never drink Guinness ever again.
Yeah, I think on the basis that you can have bottles of beer,
constantly.
You can have bottles. Yeah, you can have bottles of beer.
Imagine in the house like that, coming in, another pint of Guinness.
Imagine all the lads are sweating like suns out, cracking the flags. All the boys are on cold beers, and you get your first Guinness out of that.
I don't know how we've got here, but we're somehow like denying Guinness's like place in life. A Guinness is right up there, you know, right up there.
It is, but
when you're in Ireland,
there's a time and a place, isn't there?
Yeah. You can't make it your every drink every time you're out. It has to be Guinness. Heavy that.
It's a treat though, isn't it? It's a nice treat, a Guinness.
Yeah, it is, but it's like saying like red wine or champagne. You're gonna go with red wine, aren't you? Because that's a more consistent go-to drink than a bottle of champagne. Sitting like a bottle of champagne we can see every night.
Different types of beers.
What has happened? What has happened? This podcast. Fucking red wine and KFC chat.
It's a quality question.
Liverpool got beat, have they? Look, Liverpool got beat, have they?
What's your answer?
All right, then next one.
Beer or Guinness, Mills?
Yeah, I'll go with you. If I had to, I'd go with beer. Yeah.
Okay, I think I might be on my own for this one. Day drinking or night out? Mills, you're a day drinker.
I am a day drinker. I think when you're going home at 9 o'clock. And the younger crowds are coming in. That's a nice time to go home if you've been out since maybe 1 or 2. You've watched the football. You've had a coupon. You've had your bit of food. I'm okay with that. How
old are you, Mills? You sound like you're about 65.
Wait, I feel 65. I feel 65.
If you weren't using Just for Men, you look 65 as well.
It doesn't. I am beyond acting like I'm 21 anymore. You might look 21. I certainly don't. I can't get away with it.
Do you know what? Can we just go for both? I love an all day and all nighter. I'd love just staying out for the full lit. Yeah, I do like a day drink. I think it's decent, but I'm not one of them. You can just go. See you later, boys. At 6 o'clock. It's fucking jar that.
I agree. I'll take both.
Yeah, I hate home time. Definitely both, but if you had to choose one, you had to.
Night out.
That's what I mean. If you had to go home at 9 p.m. or 6 a.m., which would it be?
6 a.m. Yeah, 6.
Nah, I reckon I go the other way there, like.
Everton good messy one every now and again.
Rolling at 6 a.m. when the kids be bouncing on me head an hour later is a no-go.
Judgy and Phil in heaven, 7 a.m.
That's a different scenario, isn't it? Go on.
Christmas Eve or Christmas Day is the last one.
Christmas Eve for me.
Oh no, I'm up the wall on Christmas Eve, mate. Go in the shops trying to get presents.
All every day.
Trying to get that.
Christmas Eve is always stress to me. I'm always in the shops. There's nothing left. Got about 12 presents left to buy. Hate it.
You deserve it.
Yeah, Christmas Eve for me. I always go out.
No, Teddy. It won't be Phil's fault. It'll be someone else's fault that he's shopping on Christmas Eve.
I'll be saying it's my fault that he's stressing on Christmas Eve, like he always does. It's always my fault.
Are you all super organised, are you? Getting your Christmas presents in November, isn't it?
Well, I only have to get the wife's. She sorts all the others, luckily.
Yeah, guilty.
So, Christmas Eve for me. Nice meal.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go with Christmas Day just because I just seeing the kids and that on Christmas Day now and having a proper Christmas dinner and doing the quiz. We have a little quiz after our Christmas dinner and have a little bingo and all that, and then have a little family karaoke. Yeah, it's boss Christmas Day. I'm gonna go with Christmas Day.
I think if you could split them, I mean, Christmas Day in the daytime is good, but I like Christmas Eve when the kids go to bed and you have a glass of wine, everything's ready for tomorrow, and you just have that little 2 hours. I like that. But Christmas Day, I'm with you, Judgy, when you see the kids having the presents and your nice dinner. And then the family come round. I'll go Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's the flying round.
Everton away shirt that was 20 quid in the sale.
Right, lads, we're pushed for time here, so some quick fire now. Greatest player in the red and blue shirt. One word answer, Mills.
Didn't you say, hold on, player? Wasn't it your favourite player? Not
two questions, player? Judge.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Go on.
The greatest player I have seen play for Everton Football Club would be Wayne Rooney.
Andre Kanchelskis for me. Great to big words, but like just raw talent. I think that after someone someone who could play in any team. Yeah, Andre Kanchelskis.
Sorry.
Gerrard,
Yeah.
just for Everton.
I'll second that. Okay, your favourite player, Mills?
Oh, the big man, the man who, if he wasn't there, this podcast wouldn't be here because we'd be fucking sunk. The big man, Duncan Ferguson.
You could have said that about Campbell as well.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, we could have done that. Gary Speed, closely followed by Tim Cahill.
Sorry.
Again, just play for the shirt, like proper footballers.
Probably Gerrard again, if I'm honest. For everything that he brought in them sort of like them years where we weren't a great side, but he was the best player. And he was I'd say Gerrard. He carried us so well, and he was so good in every position. Probably would have done better than Alisson Becker on that cross the other day if he was in goal. That's how good Gerrard was. So.
The best goalkeeper in the league.
Depends what you mean by favourite, but I like the man, Carragher. I just like how he represents our club and our city. Okay, that's that. This is a blue question now from Nick Morris. How excited are the Blues by Anthony Gordon? He reminds me of when Barkley broke through. The crowd wanted him to get a chance, and he looks eager to take it.
Come on, Nick.
I can sort of see the similarities. I remember in Moyes' final season, us as fans, maybe you disagree, Judgy, but they wanted Barkley to get a chance. When Martinez came in, he gave Barkley a chance. Everyone was happy, and it worked out quite well. I think the fan base is sort of like that with Gordon now. You're looking at a Wobie, and you're saying, no, give it to Gordon. Yeah. Whether he's going to be a top player or not, I don't know. I think going back to yesterday's game against Tottenham, I think he's done really, really well. I think he's done well a couple of times this season. How good he can be, I don't know, because he's breaking through. He's not breaking through at 17, he's breaking through at 19. I don't know, Judge, you may know more than me about that, but if you're that good, do you come through at 17?
I mean, no, I wouldn't say that. I think there's enough precedence, particularly in the recent Premier area, of the likes of Mason Mount and Harry Kane and all that, go out on numerous loans, most of them being unsuccessful, and then come back as a more mature player. I don't think the word's excited, though. That's what I was saying. Come on, Nick, the players he was referring to. Did he say Barkley, Rooney?
Barkley, just Barkley.
Just Barkley. I mean, I was excited by Barkley. I was excited by him because you'd seen the reputation in the U team. He had that real confidence and swagger about him. I don't see that with I don't think it's the same. I think it's more enthusiasm and it's eagerness, and we're willing him on to do well, aren't we? I think the comparisons you made about players that were breaking through at certain times, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's a excitement for me. I personally don't think he played that well yesterday. I thought he was enthusiastic. I thought he worked hard. But I don't think it was. He wasn't lighting the stadium up with his touches. He wasn't skinning players. You know what I mean? He wasn't really getting people out the seats. Don't get me wrong. I think the kid's done well this season, and he stepped up more than I thought he would. But is Anthony Gordon in that Ross Barkley category? As in us feeling like he's going to be, England's world class. Yeah, not for me.
That's what you're saying, isn't it? There's some players in the youth get a reputation where you think these could go on to be something else, and he hasn't quite had that hype around him.
He's a bit like Harry Wilson for Hughes. A bit like Harry Wilson was like for Hughes. You're looking at him thinking he's a good player, good solid Prem player. But the difference was Harry Wilson even scores worldies and stuff. He just hasn't got that X factor. I mean, good player, great kid, want him to do well. Hope he proves me wrong, but excitement isn't the word that comes to mind when I think of him.
Terry, quick one from Dave Clay. He's put it in a long way that we haven't got time to read out, but basically, players who put their hands behind the back. He's a Liverpool fan, so I don't know if he's referring to any of our players. I can't remember that happening. But Moreno was out for it a few years ago.
Moreno was horrendous for it. Trent's done it a few times. I've seen Robertson do it a couple of times.
Robertson's done it a few times. It's fullbacks that are coach of the...
I hate it. No, I didn't play at any sort of standard, but I played fullback. So I know what it's like when you get squared up by a winger who can go either way or whatever. And you've got your arms behind you, but it's hard enough anyway, with that quick change of direction when you're being squared up. to try and do it with your arm, basically your hands tied behind your back, is manic. Especially when you're not in the box, you're not going to give a penalty away anyway. You know, I can half understand centre backs a little bit, but to do that with your arms, you're sacrificing your mobility. And if I was a coach at any sort of standard, I'd be like, if I see you do that again, you're not even playing anymore. Because it's
when
ridiculous.
I used to stand you up, you really had to use your arms.
You never stood me up. The only time you stood me up is when you were meant to meet me for a pint and didn't turn up because you had no dough.
Which happens most weeks.
Yeah, every week at the match. But for me, it's a bad development if fullbacks are doing that. I think it's really, really poor, and I'd hope coaches just and you don't see kids.
I don't get it.
Stupid. You're a coach, Judge. Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen anyone advocate it, or heard anyone advocate it. It's a weird one.
The only thing I'd say,
obviously, the whole handball and VAR thing is a factor, but like you say, Terry, when they're outside the area, then and the lack of balance that you've got when your hands are behind your back, it's just not for me.
Yeah. Okay. Last one then. Boy question from Mark. He said, our bench yesterday, not one decent player who'll change a game on the bench. Our fans blame the manager though. The issue is behind the scenes. Unsworth should be given a target to hit in relation to developing youth players, as we've heard many times. As for Brands, this is on his watch. Unsworth is getting away with murder under him, and his own performance is a joke as well.
That's right. I think he's right.
Yeah, you want to hear any arguments from us? Yeah. I thought that was Nick Morris's question. That sounds like Nick Morris's question to me.
And do you know what? I think Nick's put that really well in a way that I've never really seen it before. He's blaming Unsworth, but he's saying, but the blame on Unsworth is actually under Brands because Brands is putting up with it.
Yeah, that wasn't Nick Morris's question, though, was it, Phil? By the way,
no,
I said Nick Morris because that's.
Sorry.
Is one of our listeners who he asked the question before, but he said it before about Brands and about Unsworth and about the academy setup, and he's been spot on. But no arguments from us there, and I'm not blaming the manager. Mills isn't blaming the manager. There are sections of the fans who will blame the manager, but that's just what they do anyway, and every club has them. But yeah, you're right, the lack of depth, from the youth up and the squad is there for all to see, and there's only one person to blame for that, for me, and that is Brands. You can blame Unsworth, but Unsworth shouldn't be in the job. That's a fact of the matter. But give any coach the academy manager status, he's not going to walk away from it, particularly if he's an ex-Everton player and an Everton fan. So that's not his fault. He's just not up to the job.
Unsworth, I appreciate David Unsworth, what he's done for Everton Football Club as a player. But God, I mean, you go back to he joins Everton in 2013-14. How many players have came through in that time? And okay, so Ross Barkley was beyond that at that point. He was breaking through already. Is it limited to Tom Davis, Anthony Gordon, and John Joe Kenny? And those three players, you'd have took money for them in the summer. Is that what David Unsworth has done in 7 years? He's brought John Joe Kenny, Tom Davis, Anthony Gordon through.
He's not been academy manager for 7 years, Mills. He's only been academy manager 12 months. So there've been 3 or 4.
No, he's been the head coach. He's been the manager at the under-23. He's responsible of the development of those players into the first team.
The under-23s manager is not responsible for anything. It's a graveyard shift. So you can't blame Unsworth for the last 6 years, but he's the academy manager now, and the buck stops with him. And at the moment, it's for want of a better word and excuse language, piss poor in that academy. The structure's terrible. The quality of coaches is poor. Yeah, there's everything going wrong in their academy, and it makes it worse because Liverpool is doing so right across the bar.
No, I think the fact that Marcel Brands came in 2018, and we're now nearly 4 years down the line, and that's not been addressed.
And that's what I'm saying. He's the one who the buck stops with, not Unsworth.
I don't know. Unsworth was playing the ass of Pennington to win trophies.
He's crap at his job. He shouldn't be in the academy. Full stop. What I'm saying is his role as 23s coach, which is all he was for 5 years, is nothing. All he gets past is the players who are not good enough to play in the first team and the players who are a little bit more developed for the 18s. He had no responsibility apart from that. So you can't blame Unsworth for the last 6 years. It's Brands for the last 4 years. But anyway, look, that's a different chat. But yeah,
I would love to do a long form podcast on it. Maybe one day, international break or the summer, we can maybe sit down and break it down. Because what you're saying there, is stuff I've not heard. You know, you're a coach, you've been there. Maybe some fans listening to the podcast would benefit from a long form podcast sometime.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, not for this. Otherwise, we'll be going on for 3 hours on it. But yeah, look, good question, and it's a good shout. Hopefully we're not talking about it in the summer, and we suddenly unearth, you know, the likes of Dobbin come through and start to impress us and get minutes. But yeah, it's definitely another one for another time.
We done, Phil? Social media?
It's all
done.
That was the last
I
one.
think Judgy's about to meet David Unsworth for a pint, so he's got to go as well. So I think we're all wrapped up. But later on in the week, we have our new show called Game On, where we're going to be doing a couple of quizzes, Red versus Blues. I'm not too sure whether it's myself or Pricey, but I know it's definitely Phil, Terry and Judgy. This week in history, the Reds haven't quite decided on this week in history. I think there's a few ones in play they want to talk about, but Judgy, our this week in history is an Everton legend taking control of Everton Football Club in the mid-90s, and good God, did we need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that one.
Okay, a big thank you to our sponsors, Veer Clothing, as always. Get over to Veer Clothing, virclothing.com, ATP20 in a checkout for 20% off, camperkings.co.uk. Sorry, Judge?
.co.uk.
Co.uk. Let's just edit the whole podcast because I've messed the whole thing up. We've lost the sponsor. I'm sorry, it's on me. We've lost the sponsor. Over to camperkings.co.uk as well. Quote Across the Park podcast for free insurance and a free bottle of bubbly as well. Get over to Camper Kings. Amazing fleet of Camper Kings. And please, as Judgy is pointing above, subscribe. We are brand new to this YouTube channel, so we're trying to grow the YouTube. Anyone who's new watching us or listening to us, first and foremost, we're a podcast. We release audio every single week, twice a week. We do the instant match reaction as well on top for the home games. That's been going for 3 weeks. We're trying to grow the YouTube channel. We could not grow it without you subscribing. Please subscribe and like to the videos. Spread the word. We are on Twitter at Across the Park PC, Instagram at Across the Park PC. Phil has even set us up a Facebook over at Across the Park podcast. From myself, Ian Mills, Gary Judge for the Blues, Terry McGiven, and Phil Roberts for Reds. We will see you later on in the week for Game On. See you then.